Colleges are known for having a strong social atmosphere around them, whether it's just saying hello to someone as you're passing by or dancing next to them at a party. People are social at all times on a college campus. College campuses have changed in 2020. With students coming from all around the country to one central area, it was a concern for many whether to come back at all or not. Even with new information coming from the school what seemed like every day, there was still concern.
You don't know how everybody else is handling it when they're at home. Not everybody's going to be as careful as you are or more careful than you are. Like, you just don't know, so that part's concerning.
I was a little worried in the beginning about like coming here and maybe catching it and then have to go back home or something like that. I'd say it's in a college experience, but like not exactly the one I was expecting. It's because with this pandemic you can't really trust anything, so it's been a lot different, but I felt like it's been good.
I thought it was always going to be a matter of, just statistically speaking, I thought it was going to be a matter of how long can we hold on until a significant number of students and staff and faculty are affected to the point where we have to go remote. Because it snowballs so quickly with the safety protocols.
There was new updates every single day, and it felt like things changed on a weekly basis.
Some of the most popular places on college campuses to hang out are Greek life and fraternity houses. However, they're limited on how many people can be in one area at once due to social distancing and mask wearing guidelines. So this has forced fraternities to become a little bit more creative in the way they socialize and recruit.
It's forced us to be more creative in the way we go about doing things. This dates back to before we came back to campus, but we had an entire philanthropic event online last year, which we had never done before. And for us, I think some of the bigger guidelines is the lack of social events we can have on campus as a fraternity house. And not that we can't have social events, but it's harder to have them in our space. And on our campus specifically, fraternity houses tend to be a social gathering place, and everybody knows that. And so it makes it a little tougher to tell people that, no, let's not use this as a social gathering place right now.
Non-Greek life members have been forced to cope with some of the same challenges that Greek life members have as well. And this has been especially difficult for upperclassmen who are used to a normal way of life on this campus already.
Coping with new changes has been terrible. I feel as though I'm restricted to my bedroom all the time or my place of residence.
Stress can usually be seen on any student's face, especially during finals week. But in 2020, the stress is amplified because of the COVID-19 pandemic on a college campus and all the uncertainty that comes with that. Hanover College's Director of Counseling Services, Catherine Lasso, says this added stress affects everyone differently.
It's been an adjustment for everyone. Some take it in stride with flexibilities, and others feel more vulnerable to the uncertainty. The reasons for referral to counseling have been pretty consistent with previous years, but the stressors of the pandemic just kind of adds another layer.
She also has some tips that can be helpful to anyone that's dealing with this discomfort being felt this year.
Call them the 3 M's. The 3 M's are move. The best way to get out of our head sometimes is to get into our feet. The second one is to make something. We're in our heads a whole lot, so we need to do something with our hands. The third M is meet, stay connected.
Wearing masks and social distancing are some of the newest rules that are challenging students and faculty this year in colleges. Many social events are being held outside or online to limit face-to-face contact. Some events like the Fall Festival were still held, but the changes have been met with varying responses.
I think the school could have done a little bit more to do things that were more aimed at college students instead of middle schoolers at times. But I guess the goal is just to get you to meet people, so I guess it was successful in that sense.
At the beginning of the year, some classes would meet in person, outside, some would meet in the classroom, and some would be fully online. Now it is completely online, which can impact the quality of education students receive.
I feel like I'm collaborating actively with more students in this model. So I don't want to lose this. When we come back to being, I'm going to make it an option from now on. If you want to have a Zoom meeting with me instead of an in-person during office hours, that's that's on the table now as far as I'm concerned.
It was nice to be able to go into class and, meet the professor and that kind of stuff and get a personal connection with him instead of sitting in front of a screen. But like going to this full transition of like with the screen and Zoom and that kind of stuff, it's definitely been a learning curve, but it's turned out pretty well so far.
Trying to do our video or my class remote and doing it in person is really challenging. And it's hard for my remote kids because cameras are different in every classroom. Some can't see the board, some can't hear the questions that are being asked. It's a real challenge, and it's filled with constant distraction.
I think probably the biggest challenge is to put myself into the perspective of the student, because my tendency is to overwhelm students with information. And from what I've heard, I may not be alone in this tendency. And I think that can be fatal when you are in an online situation, because let's face it, we all have limits to how much new information we can take in.
One of my favorite things as a teacher, because that's not, being a professor is not, wasn't my career choice, right? So this is new to me. My favorite thing of being a professor is my office hours. That's the thing that I enjoy more than anything else, because I get to hang out with my kids, right? No office hours. And Zoom really is not a very good substitute for that.
We may not be able to gather on the quad like in the past, but students and faculty have found some sort of positives in all of this.
I really love that there's masks everywhere, because I can look like a total mess and half my face is gone and nobody would know.
I was able to meet a lot of people, especially in Wiley and my PA group that I liked, like right off the bat, just to give people someone to go to do things with, like right off the bat.
I mentioned earlier about trying to put myself into the position or the perspective of the student. I had done that intellectually, like with some of the ideas and concepts, but I had not done that with things like the technology and the teaching methods. And I think this really forced me to do that.
I think there have definitely been positives, and one of them, closer brotherhood. I definitely feel closer to most of the brothers in the house than I did last year. Part of that being that we're around them, we're around each other all the time now, and we're not going and seeing other people as much.
I actually do probably spend more Zoom time, I promise you, than I have in the past with students. More one-on-one tutoring time with students. And because it's recorded, I record everything and upload it. Students can go back and watch it over and over and ask questions through it.
Colleges have a completely different look and feel to them this year in 2020. You no longer have things like tailgates for football games or parties, or even being able to see someone else's face as you walk past them. Even so, students are still glad to have the chance to return and are happy to be here.